has come. Those that were not really standing for the Lord in reality had become Mammonites, and money was the one driving their ministries, their callings, their commissions. God is going to actually bring it to the surface for everybody to see. In case you're one of them, it's not too late, you can repent.
Also breaking at noon, 2 pastors now facing federal charges in a $50 million labor and money laundering scandal linked to a Houston ministry. An active investigation is happening at the Joshua Media Ministries International, which is off the North Freeway. And that is where we find KPRC2 reporter Rochelle Turner. Rochelle, what is going on there? This seems to be a really interesting story, but what have you seen or heard from people there on the ground?
Haley, good afternoon to you. I can tell you within the past 5 minutes or so, we actually spoke to a worker who works at a supply store right next door, and he told us that he wasn't surprised when he came into work this morning and saw all of the law enforcement agencies. He said since he's been at that business in the past year or so, he's seen some strange things, including people coming out here and mowing this grass with a single push lawnmower. He even offered one of the workers water, and the person didn't say much. But we have seen a steady stream of law enforcement here at this church here, and since about 6 o'clock this morning. This is the JMMI Global Campus for Harvest. It's owned by the Kingdom of God Global Church, and federal prosecutors say its leaders, David Taylor and Michelle Brannon, operated call centers in Michigan, Florida, and Texas, and Missouri to solicit donations and committed forced labor.
The man who once led one of the largest congregations in America, today walking into an Oklahoma courthouse, pleading guilty to sexually abusing an underage girl.
This has taken my entire lifetime to get here.
That girl was Cindy Clemishire, now 55. Inside the courtroom, delivering a message to her abuser through tears, as Gateway Church founder Robert Morris admitted to 5 felony counts of lewd or indecent acts with a child in the 80s.
We might see 5 different locations with cure for cancer.
Russia has completed clinical trials for a revolutionary cancer vaccine, Enteromix, with developers reporting 100% efficacy and safety in the first phase. The announcement was made during this year's St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. Researchers confirmed that all 48 trial participants responded positively, with no serious side effects reported.
A Camden grandmother's life has changed dramatically after doctors destroyed a painful tumour in her spine. The 64-year-old was treated at Liverpool Hospital, the first in the country to harness MRI to freeze tumours in an instant.
They found that when they implanted a device called TAR-200, a very small pretzel-shaped like device, into the bladder, it slowly released chemotherapy over 3 weeks. And in those patients who got this device, 82% had their tumors eliminated, most by 3 months, and at 1 year, over 50% remained cancer-free.
Researchers at the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, also known as KAIST, have unveiled a groundbreaking cancer treatment method. KAIST's innovative approach, instead of destroying the cells, reprograms the cancer cells into normal cells. In other words, they reverse the cancer cells into healthy ones.
All our cells in the body, when they divide, they make mistakes. And mismatch repair corrects those mistakes. In these tumors, to gain an advantage, the tumors have shut down mismatch repair.
Any tumor can have the mutation, but they predominantly affect colorectal, gastric, pancreatic, and endometrial cancers.
Recently admitted here.
The trial, co-led by Dr. Luis Diaz, had patients skip surgery and instead take an immunotherapy drug.
So this immunotherapy is not just revving the immune system up to fight the tumor.
It's exposing the tumor, and if the reality is the tumor looks foreign, it will wipe it out of the body.
And in this new season, there will be a marked difference between those who belong to the Lord and those who don't. Because times of shakings, ringings, wranglings, disasters, rumblings are upon the earth, but there are also going to be times of rejoicing for many. Even in a time of disaster, with thousands and thousands being killed, you will remain unscathed, unharmed. Even in the time of disaster, with thousands and upon thousands being killed, you will remain unscathed and unharmed.
The death toll is rising following a powerful earthquake that rattled much of Southeast Asia.
And this morning, rescue efforts are underway in Thailand and Myanmar to find the hundreds still missing in the rubble. Eyewitness News reporter Monica Dianda joins us live in the newsroom with the latest. Monica?
Tony, Sophie, good morning. The images coming in are incredibly difficult to look at. More than 1,000 people have died so far in the Myanmar earthquake, and thousands more are injured. The death toll is only expected to go up, with hundreds still missing as rescue crews look through the rubble.
More than 1,000 people have been killed in floods and landslides across Indonesia, Sri Lanka and Thailand. Rescue efforts are taking place in some of the most difficult conditions, with hundreds still missing. At least 176 of those deaths were in Thailand. Almost 4 million people have been affected by the flooding there, which was triggered by the heaviest rains seen in centuries. The Prime Minister says the government should have done more to protect its citizens. Meanwhile, in Indonesia, the death toll is over 600. The military has been deployed to some of the worst-hit areas to join rescue efforts. Jessica Washington reports from North Tapanuli on the island of Sumatra.
In North Tapanuli, a trail of devastation, houses and loved ones buried under the mud. Herman Sitompul says he's experienced landslides before, but never as severe as this.
We start this hour with the latest out of Papua New Guinea. There's been a massive landslide in a remote area with many people feared to have died. Now, the disaster hits the K Klam village in Papua New Guinea's Enga province at around 3 a.m. local time when people would have been asleep. The province is about 600 kilometres northwest of Port Moresby. Now, these are the latest pictures that we've had from the scene. You can see rock and soil has fallen from the hillside with trees uprooted. The remains of many corrugated tin shelters can be seen there at the foot of the landslide. Now, more than 50 houses are reported to have been buried. Rescuers have used machetes and long-handled axes to try and help clear the rubble. The Prime Minister said the authorities were responding to the disaster.
There is revolutionary, shaking and earth-shaking shakings coming to the world. And in some places, we would have so much in terms of things that will get seemingly too hot for people to even be able to handle.
A fire in Pacific Palisades, home to many celebrities, exploded from 10 acres to over 3,000 acres on Tuesday, driven by powerful Santa Ana winds reaching 50 miles per hour. Scenes of destruction show homes engulfed in flames. And streets blocked by abandoned cars, which were eventually cleared by bulldozers to allow firefighters access. A second blaze in Altadena that erupted near a nature preserve has spread rapidly. Leading to care home staff being forced to push residents in wheelchairs and hospital beds to a nearby parking lot to await evacuation.
of universal tariffs on the whole world, including the European Union, is a major blow to the world economy. I deeply regret this choice. Let's be clear-eyed about the immense consequences. The global economy will massively suffer. Uncertainty will spiral and trigger the rise of further protectionism. The tariffs will also hurt consumers around the world. It will be felt immediately. Millions of citizens will face higher grocery bills. Medication will cost more, as well as transportation. Inflation will go up. And this is hurting in particular the most vulnerable citizens.
I run a government.
Kenya is on the boil. Blood has been spilled on the streets of the East African country. The past 24 hours have been volatile, to say the least. What is it that caused the country to go up in flames like this? Why are thousands of Kenyans out there on the streets? At the center of this crisis are two words: finance bill. A controversial legislation which has now been withdrawn sent the civil society into a spiral, all because the government is trying to raise the tax burden on its people. Let me just get you up to speed with all the developments coming in from on the ground. Just a short while back, Kenya's President William Ruto addressed a press briefing. He said that the people have spoken, and because of that, he will not be signing the finance bill. Here's an excerpt from that speech.
I concede, and therefore I will not sign the 2024 finance bill.
Micah chapter 4, because he said there, what was he going to do? He was going to settle disputes for nations. He's going to settle disputes for nations. Just watch and see.
The ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, which came into force yesterday, appears to be holding. So far, an estimated 200,000 people have returned home to northern Gaza after Israeli troops withdrew from areas they had occupied in the territory. Palestinians in Gaza are continuing to make their way north as rescue workers say they've retrieved more than 100 bodies from the rubble, with thousands more thought to be waiting to be found. Hamas has until midday on Monday to return 48 Israeli hostages, while Israel must release 250 Palestinian prisoners and around 1,700 people who were detained in Gaza during the war. Donald Trump says Hamas is gathering the Israeli hostages now, adding that he's confident the Gaza deal he helped broker will hold. The US president is heading to Israel and Egypt on Sunday. For its part, Israel's military says it has completed the first phase of its withdrawal from Gaza. Our reporter Barry Caffrey has the latest.
Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have made their way to the north of Gaza, which has been heavily bombed by Israeli forces in recent months. They're trying to return to their homes, or what's left of them.
We have breaking news to bring you that Thailand and Cambodia, the two neighbours, have agreed an unconditional ceasefire to end days of fighting along their border. Now, these are the two leaders shaking hands at the end of a press conference in Malaysia. That's where the talks happened, announcing the pause in the violence. It will come into effect midnight local time. President Trump had warned both sides that he wouldn't sign a trade deal with either countries until a ceasefire had been agreed. At least 33 people have been killed, thousands displaced since last Thursday when fighting escalated following months of tensions. Each side has been blaming the other for causing the escalation. But this is a dispute that dates back more than a century when their borders were drawn following the French occupation of Cambodia. Jonathan Head, our Southeast Asia correspondent, has the latest for us on this unconditional ceasefire.
Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo have signed a peace deal aimed at ending the devastating conflict in eastern DRC. The United States and Qatar brokered the deal, which President Trump touted as a wonderful treaty. The hope is it will end a 30-year conflict. The Congolese foreign minister and Rwandan foreign minister signed the deal together in D.C. before meeting with the president.